Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Logistics Executive TV. I'm delighted today to be able to finally get onto the show, to the podcast. One of the great storytellers that I've been following for many years, talks a lot about business, talks a lot about leadership, but is in particular a specialist on sport, global sport activity, but residing in Australia. And without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce Patrick Skene. Patrick, thanks so much for joining us in the...
Greetings, Kim, and hello to the logistics world.
You're an author. I'm not too sure how many books you've written, but I've certainly read the one about Olsen Filipina, which was one of the most famous early Indigenous, or certainly Polynesian rugby league players.
He was my childhood hero, Olsen Filipina. The world of rugby league back in 1980 was monocultural, and he just appeared out of nowhere, playing with a smile. He was new. He had a name like we hadn't seen before. And I remember Olsen, he copped a lot to play the game he loved. He went through a lot of racism. He had teammates that tried to injure him. He went through, and he was, a classic shy Polynesian outside his own family structure. He was very shy, and he didn't know who he could trust. And he went through a really hard time. And he often cops a negative legacy. But I always, when I saw him play, I thought he was a giant because he kept getting dropped. And the more I investigated, I found out that he had coaches that were either outright racist to him or would humiliate him. So you can't believe everything you see. And when you're judging pioneers, you have to go beyond the statistics. So I really dug into that story. And I just thought, this fella deserves a story. It's not always about the guys that play 300 games. It's about the pioneers and the revolutionaries. So I went over to New Zealand and went up to his spiritual hometown of Kaikohe, which is a 90% Māori town. It's a Ngāpuhi stronghold, and then we see the fearsome Ngāpuhi channeling themselves into rugby union now. So I went up there with Olsen, immersed myself. Then I did 2 weeks, immersed myself in South Auckland to understand the Polynesian community, because it's all, South Auckland's the crucible and cradle of rugby league and rugby union and boxing, the revolution that's taken place, and learned so much. I learned nothing in school about the New Zealand. What an honor to learn about the Māori and the wider New Zealand people that I got to experience through that book. So a thoroughly enjoyable experience. My second book is the history of Chinese heritage Aussie rules. So much the same. Chinese Australia, 100,000 Chinese came to Australia in the 1800s around the gold rush.
Yeah, that's right.
Massive contributors to the building Australia of every level, and went through racist abuse and exclusion. Weirdly enough, more than 300 of them played Aussie rules. They didn't play any other sports, but for some reason, Aussie rules took them in, particularly in country towns where racism is stereotypically, they say it's more, but it's actually less. A lot more intermarriage, and people just get on with things out there. And if you pull your weight in a country town, it tends to transcend skin color, which I found fascinating. But that's a book because the Chinese population here, even fourth and fifth generation Chinese Australians, were copping abuse pretty bad during COVID. And a survey came out that said Chinese Australians have basically had a huge chunk of their sense of belonging to Australia taken away from them. Even third or fourth generation, they were pushed back for being Chinese, and it was very upsetting for a lot of them to have their fellow country people turn on them.